The year was 1865. The Civil War, which had torn the nation apart for 4 long years, was finally coming to an end. On the evening of April 14th, President Abraham Lincoln and his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, decided to attend a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. The play was Our American Cousin, a lighthearted comedy. The Lincolns arrived at the theater and settled into their private box, located above and to the right of the stage. The audience was delighted to see the President and First Lady. The war was nearly over, and a sense of relief and hope filled the air. Little did anyone know that this night of celebration would soon turn into a national nightmare. As the play went on, laughter filled the theater. The President seemed to be enjoying himself, laughing along with the rest of the audience. Unbeknownst to those inside, a sinister plot was unfolding just outside their door. A man named John Wilkes Booth, a famous actor and Confederate sympathizer, was lurking in the shadows, waiting for his moment to strike. The fate of the nation hung in the balance as the clock ticked past 10 p.m. The play continued, and the audience remained oblivious to the dark turn events were about to take. John Wilkes Booth was a well-known actor at the time. He was born into a family of actors. He was handsome and charismatic, and audiences loved him. However, Booth was also a staunch supporter of the Confederacy. He strongly opposed Lincoln's views on slavery. As the Civil War raged on, Booth became increasingly radicalized. He believed that Lincoln was a tyrant who was destroying the South. Booth began to plot against the president. He initially wanted to kidnap Lincoln and take him to Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. However, Booth's plan changed when he learned that Lincoln was planning to attend Ford's Theater. He saw this as the perfect opportunity to assassinate the president and strike a blow for the South. Booth carefully planned his attack, enlisting the help of several co-conspirators. As the third act of Our American Cousin began, Booth made his move. He slipped into the hallway outside Lincoln's box, quietly barring the door behind him. He then crept up behind the unsuspecting president, pulled out his .44 caliber Derringer pistol, and aimed it at the back of Lincoln's head. A loud gunshot echoed through the theater. The audience gasped in horror as Lincoln slumped forward in his chair. Mary Todd Lincoln screamed and grabbed her husband. Chaos erupted in the theater as people realized what had happened. Booth, his face illuminated by the stage lights, jumped from the box to the stage below, shouting, "Sic semper tyrannis," thus always to tyrants. He landed awkwardly, breaking his leg in the process, but quickly limped off stage and out of the theater, disappearing into the night. The theater erupted in chaos. Screams filled the air as people scrambled for the exits. Some fainted, while others stood frozen in shock and disbelief. Soldiers guarding the president rushed to the box, but it was too late. A young doctor, Charles Leal, was in the audience and rushed to Lincoln's aid. He found the president barely clinging to life, a bullet lodged in his brain. Realizing the severity of the wound, Dr. Leal and several other doctors carried Lincoln across the street to a boarding house called the Peterson House. Mary Todd Lincoln, hysterical with grief, followed close behind. The news of the assassination spread like wildfire throughout Washington. People poured into the streets, desperate for information about their beloved president. John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer, was enraged by the South's defeat in the Civil War. He believed that Lincoln was a tyrant who had destroyed his beloved South. Booth saw the assassination as a way to avenge the Confederacy and strike a blow against the Union. Booth had planned his escape route carefully. He knew the streets of Washington like the back of his hand. After shooting Lincoln, Booth leaped from the presidential box to the stage, breaking his leg in the process. He then ran out of the theater, mounted a waiting horse, and rode off into the night. He had an accomplice waiting with a fresh horse in Maryland. Booth's plan was to escape south, where he believed he would be welcomed as a hero. The assassination of President Lincoln sent shockwaves through the nation. The government immediately launched a massive manhunt for John Wilkes Booth and his co-conspirators. Thousands of soldiers and detectives fanned out across the country, determined to bring the assassins to justice. The manhunt was led by Secretary of War Edwin M. Stanton. Stanton was a ruthless and determined man who would stop at nothing to catch Lincoln's killer. He ordered roadblocks set up, bridges guarded, and every ship leaving port searched. Rewards were offered for information leading to Booth's capture. Among those leading the chase was a young detective named Lafayette Baker. Baker was known for his cunning and tenacity. he would play a crucial role in tracking down Booth. For 12 days, Booth and his accomplice, David Harold, managed to evade capture. They hid in swamps, slept in barns, and relied on the help of Southern sympathizers. However, the net was closing in. On April 26, their luck ran out. Union soldiers tracked them down to a tobacco farm owned by Richard Garrett in Virginia. Booth and Harold were hiding in the farm's tobacco barn. The soldiers surrounded the barn and ordered Booth to surrender. Harold came out and surrendered, but Booth refused. The soldiers set fire to the barn, hoping to smoke Booth out. As the flames rose, Sergeant Boston Corbett, claiming he saw Booth aiming a gun at the barn door, shot him through a crack in the wall. Booth was mortally wounded and died several hours later.